disclaimer, go ahead and look at this. You got to work for it. No claims made. Don't sue me. Don't sue anybody else. Be cool. All right. All right. So I've done a lot of things in real estate with this. Let me tell you a story real quick so we get going into something else. Obviously, from the real estate perspective, I was pretty successful with things. But the most expensive thing you can own is a closed mind. So I was very closed-minded. Can't teach someone a lesson that they think they already know. I looked at this model for over a year. And I went from, okay, well, if it's so good, why isn't everybody over there to, oh my gosh, you know what? Everybody is coming. They're all coming. Everybody's coming inside that. And Brent called me in 2016. I think that was a couple weeks after I just committed to partnering with Chuck on business and doing that. And so when Brent reached out to me, I said, hey, I'll listen to this, but you could be handing me gold bricks, not interested at all. I'm a person of integrity. Chuck says he's going to go from 500 agents to 800 agents in the next like 3, 4, 5 years. I said, that's what I'm committed to being a part of this and learning how to scale, learning how to be able to do that. And I watched as he built, and I watched the things that I watched the most because they started having some crazy numbers. And we're going to talk a lot about numbers. And the thing I want you to focus on most of all, and the things that made the biggest impact on me, was the correlation between the front line, the people, the front tier, the people that you actually sponsor, and as that grows over time. Because you're going to hear some crazy numbers, and it kind of gets daunting. It gets like, well, that's not me. I can't do that. Nobody can. Nobody can. And you don't do the big number. You do the small number, and you help other people as you go through this. And so I looked at, Scott Lewis and Tracy back when they were together. It was like 24 in their front line. You had Wilco 22, Sheila 13, Brent 24 after like 2 months. And I was like, yeah, of course he did, right? Over a year later, he had 57 people he had sponsored, and he had 1,000 people, right? And I had been going for 20 years, and I had 20 agents. And I was like, 1,000? That's like a foreign language. That doesn't even compute, right, to go through that. I looked at it, and I'm like, well, that's good for you, but I missed the opportunity. It's too late. It's not for me. It's for somebody else. And I looked at the stock. I looked at as that went. The stock kind of connected with everybody else as it went through there. And this is you can see this little red thing right here. This is where the agent count was when I first looked at it, and then when I joined, it was right around there, right? So you look at that and you're like, oh my gosh, I missed it. I should have joined at the red, which I really shouldn't have. And people go, don't you wish you had? I go, no, I actually don't. I wasn't ready for it. The company wasn't ready for it. Everything worked out exactly how it should have. But I looked at it and I thought, oh, you know what? I missed the opportunity on the growth side. I'm just going to come because I want to be in an environment where I'm partnered with the right people, building, and people that maybe come to my team that are not a great fit, I can still maybe push them over here and help them in some capacity, but not on my team. I knew I wasn't Brent. I knew I wasn't a great recruiter or even very good, but I knew I could share a little bit of stuff. And this is where Brent was when I joined. He was about $1,200. It was about $70,000, which blew my mind, right? Chuck and I made a big announcement. I came over, and my goal when I came over was my target was to make $5,000 a month. I talked to my wife. I said, hey, if I do this, at what number will you not give me crap? Let's just be real. What number will you not harass me for starting something new? And she said about 5,000. I said, okay, so 5,000. I said, I got to get that my first year. That was my target. My year 2 target was get to $10,000 a month. I was like, that's good. That would be like showing signs of success. And I thought sometime between my year 3 and 5, I want to get to $15,000 a month. So I thought $15,000 a month, and I looked at it as like, hey, I'm just going to offset some marketing costs, and that'll help me during the slower months, and that will offset stuff. I don't think I can screw that up. Let's go with that. So that was the target, right? I started zero just like everybody else. January 2018, made an announcement. Big change are coming. Big things are going. About 2 weeks later, I went up to Jackson Hole up here. I had already had some pretty big failures at this point, already in 2 weeks. Yes, I jumped out fast. And I went to, first of all, I don't like to fly. I don't like to fly in the snow. I don't like to fly in little planes in the snow, but I went up to this mastermind because I was like, I didn't know what I didn't know about the company. I knew some pieces of it, but I said, I've got to go learn this. And when I went there, it changed my mindset from I'm not a good recruiter and it's not possible to really looking at stuff and focusing on that tier one of like, okay, what can I control, right? And this is what we spent a lot of time dissecting Robflix Numbers, and we're going to do some of that today too, because he was the number one, right? And he's still number one, but he was number one then. He had 37 people in his first tier that he had sponsored, and that turned into almost 3,000. It was making $120,000 a month with that, and it just blew my mind. I was like, well, there's no way I can do 2,862. There's just no way. No way. It's not possible. There's no way in the world I could ever get close. But 37 in a couple years, I'm like, that's like, I could do one a month. Like that seemed like something that was possible, right? That the other stuff was not, but I could possibly do that. And then we started really factoring in what was the value of each person. What was, if I were to go run ads for it, which that was where my mindset was, what would be the value of somebody coming in and doing that? And each person in Rob's first line was worth about $3,300, about $40,000 a year. And you start thinking, wow, each person's worth $40,000 a year. That might be worth shaving off some of your time to focus on that instead of just popping lock boxes, right? And doing other stuff. Maybe that needs to get more of your time and energy. And so that's where I really looked at this, and then looked at Rob's videos, and he started out in January of 2016. So he's coming up, was that 5 years? 6 years? That's coming out 6 years. He started out in January, right out of the gate, and took a vacation. Then he recruited 4 people in February, nobody in March. And again, we're looking at the top right across here. He brought in somebody in April. Then he says he likes to recruit fast in short spurts. So then he brought in 7 people in 1 month, from April to May up to 12. Then he did nothing in June, and then he took a vacation because he had just done some stuff before, right? Then he brought in 6 more people, 3 more people the next month, and then he pretty much took the rest of the year off. Okay, so we had 22 in that first year, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a number that I can understand a little bit with, right? But what blew me away is you go down, and he had 700 people in there. So I was like, well, I can't recruit 700 people, but that 22 I could probably do. And you go through and you look at these numbers, what it actually turned into, and he was about 18 months, he was up to about 1,600 agents. And again, what I want you to put together is that first tier, but also the peer group. He became my peer, right? We didn't get off on the best foot initially. Chuck, you remember that? That was one of the wildest meetings I've ever been in, right? But we didn't get off on the right foot. But I respected what he had done, and I watched what he had built, and I was like, okay, so this is possible for anybody. It's not like he was a good guy, but it wasn't like he had to be something so incredible that I just could never do that. Or I had to have, had a membership at the country club, or born with the right, chromosome, like whatever it was. It was like anybody could do this. So 1,600 people, about $1 million a year at that point. And what we talked about is it doesn't matter what works, it matters what duplicates. And that's one of the biggest differences, I think, maybe in our organization versus maybe some others that have a bunch of people, but they don't actually go down because they're so worried about recruiting that front tier that they're actually not providing enough value to other people that they actually say, this is what I want to do. Again, and I don't take credit for all this, but I'm just observant. That's what happens. It does not matter what works, it matters what duplicates. So again, back to January, I started with 0. I came over with a team of 18, and one of the things we're going to talk about is I take a screenshot every single day. Every single day, I commit to saying, this is important to me. I take a screenshot every single day. I took a screenshot when I had nothing. I encourage you to do the same thing, right? Because it's important to go back and be able to look. After a month or so, I was up to $110, and I was friggin' jacked. I got to tell you, I was jacked because the whole time I was with Keller Williams, it was a couple years, I made $500, a little under $500 total, which was about $20 a month. Wasn't impressive, right? But it was $500 more than I got a Remax, so it wasn't terrible. But I was like, wow, $100. I was like, wow, what if I could get over $500 in a month versus 2 years? Like, that would be kind of the bomb. So going through, started growing, swung hard, got lucky in some different areas, helped some other people be able to see this. My first month, which was like about my 3rd month because they pay like a month later, but the first check I ever got was $1,828. And I was like, dang, that's pretty cool for starting out, right? So it keeps going. The second month was $9,400, right? And then this kept growing because we kept starting attracting more and more people with this. But again, what was the difference? If I had never done anything at the beginning, this wouldn't have grown, right? So it's all about what you do and how that percolates. So as it went through, third month was 14,000, then 26,000, 20,000, 30,000, 34,000. And I remember I saw this and I go, give me a break. Like, yeah, you know, like get up to like $72,000 a month or whatever, right? But I remember I saw that. That was a joke. Like, seriously, I thought that was a total joke. And I was like, okay, well then when you get there, right? So this was last night or this morning. That was this morning. It was early this morning. It's 6,488. And that's how that builds out. But again, the thing I want you to pay attention to is how bad I am at my tier 1, right, which is 60 people, right? And I've got help within that. But when you do the right activities and help people duplicate, right, and go through, anything's possible. And you might go, well, mine's not 6,400. I said, well, what's your first tier, and how long have you, when did you plant that tree, right? When you understand that, instead of start thinking, I'm going to hit a $6,000 or 6,000 agent home run, that doesn't work like that. You do the work every day with that. And hopefully, just to me, this inspired me. When I saw other people's numbers and things like that, that was what inspired me to say, you know what, that's worth the work. That's worth it to me. In the summer right now, things are cyclical and stuff like that. We'll go through all the numbers. I'll break down. I'll show you all my spreadsheets, all the things that we keep, how we do that, what I tracked from Jay and Mike and Brent, all the things that I tracked that said, these are my peer group. These are the people that I want to go through, and to fit in, I need to be along these paths. Does that make sense? If you're not doing that, or you're tracking, you're like, well, I need to find people that are totally underperforming so I can feel superior. It's not the way it's done. You find people that go, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they let me in the room. I hope they don't figure out who I am. That's where you want to get to. That's what pushes you, right? So this summer, getting deposits on the 22nd of the month for 310, 309,000. That blew me away. That was just crazy to me, right? And so I track everything. What that came out to, that was about $10,000 a day, or $10,335. Every revenue share, every hour, 24 hours a day, was $431. When you're sleeping, when you're anything else, that's the things that are inspiring to me. Revenue share per minute, $7.18 every single minute. And I did this when it was like 50 cents a minute or whatever. But I was like, what would happen if it was $1 a minute, right? And so find things that inspire you to go, okay, so that's great. All this does is it says this, to me, it tells me that it works. And it tells me that this is where I need to put more of my energy, right? Does that make sense? So, doing this, we talked about this yesterday, is like, someone's like, hey, do you got a minute? And I'm like, well, okay, well, do you got $10? Like, that's kind of how it is. Like, where are you spending your time? Like, legitimately, first of all, it's not a minute, right? So, but you've got to look and say, where am I spending my time? Is this worth the effort to do this? And I'm just telling you guys, I'm not that special. This is an opportunity for all of us, but you've got to plant the tree, and you've got to be willing to do the work with that, right? I am the proof. I get on a lot of three-way calls, and we joke about it, but it's actually true. I am actually they're like, hey, I know you don't think you can do it, but look at him. Like, Curtis did it. Like, kind of like, yeah, the redheaded stepchild. Like, look, he's, like, if he can do it, anybody can do it, right? So I'm good like that, right? So that's good. So if you guys need somebody like that, I'm your guy, right? But I am the proof that this opportunity, it is the biggest opportunity in our lifetime. I am that.